What do you get when you mix a health coach and a wellness coach mixed with a ton of curiosity? You get two people who ask a lot of questions about health and wellness issues. Today, we ask questions about chucking it in the beep, 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 beep bucket.
We will also introduce a new segment called What Are We Loving? We will share our favorite things for the week: foods, podcasts, websites, books, and more.
We will start with our CTA recap and end with our plan for the next week. So let's get started as we ask, wait, what?
Hi, Leah.
Hi, Kamna.
I wanted to talk about what I've been working on for the past couple of weeks. Um,
Okay.
I'm training for the stair climb.
Oh, that's
98.
right. I forgot all about that. Okay, go
That's
on.
okay. You don't have to remember. I have to remember. But I've been training for that. So 98 floors. And so I've been doing stairs and increasing the amount of stair I do in a row. I started out with 5 and then I got up to 10 and then I went up to 15, like in a row.
Okay, so you're going up your steps at home and then down, up your steps and down.
Yes.
Okay, that's good cardio,
Uh,
man.
yeah, it hurts after a while. You're like, oh, my legs are so sore.
Yeah.
The first day, I was like, I need to quit and cancel because I cannot do this. It's
No.
just too much. But I'm like, no, I have to persevere. I have to keep trying. So I've been doing it and it is getting progressively easier. It's still hard. So I'm really worried about how much I'm actually going to be able to do, but I'm going to go in with the mindset that I can just do what I can.
Mhm.
And but my daughter also told me that I should increase the number of squats I'm doing to
Ugh,
help.
that sounds terrible. Go on.
So I have been doing a lot of squats and a lot of lunges to prepare my quads for
And when
all
is this
the
date?
climbing. It's the end of February sometime.
Okay, I'm writing that down so I can remember this.
Oh, I'll tell you
Anyway,
because I'll be
all
complaining
right.
about it and also
S-
excited. So we'll see.
So that was your call to action, right?
Yeah, that was my call to action. So it's going slow but
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
All right. So I'll really quick recap mine because I ate I know I've shared with you in some way shape or form. I don't know if I've shared with everybody that I'm obsessed with those stupid conversation hearts that come out this time of the year. Like
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
problem. And I thought about it this morning and I realized why it's a problem is because I am deprived of them all year.
Mhm.
So right now I feel like, oh my God, I gotta hurry up and get them because they're gonna be out of the store soon. They don't make Easter shapes. They don't make red, white, and blue ones for the summer. They don't make
Right.
Christmas ones. It is literally a Valentine's Day thing. Anyway, my so I haven't been tracking my sugar like I said I was gonna do. So
Oh,
my
okay.
call to action was an epic fail. Because if
Can I
I'm being
ask you?
honest, all
Mm,
my sugar is coming from that.
yeah. So the reason you didn't track it is because you didn't want to see how much it was?
Oh no, I tracked it, but I
Oh.
didn't break out the fruit from
Oh,
like
gotcha.
because it's really all not it's all crap sugar right now, for
Can I
sure.
ask you, what is
Mhm.
the allure about those hearts?
I absolutely love them. I love the chalky taste of them. I love the way they feel. I love the flavor. I just I like the crunch.
Mm.
I like them all. But what I did notice is I had a bunch last night and I did not sleep good at all.
Oh.
And I think that has so much to do with it. So,
Do you eat? Can I ask you a really personal question?
yeah, go for it.
Do you eat, how many do you think you eat in like a sitting?
Of those little hearts,
Yeah.
30 at a time?
Oh, okay, that's not bad. I thought
No,
you were
that's
gonna
not.
say like a bag.
Oh, I ate almost the whole bag throughout the whole day yesterday.
Okay.
But not the whole bag, almost the whole bag.
I'm
So,
so curious about this, but I'm gonna save my questions because
it's ridiculous. It's a bad problem. You know, another piece of this puzzle I was really because I was really dissecting my brain on this one. This particular brand that I like wasn't they stopped making them for like a 4-year stretch.
oh,
And then last year they came back out and I was like same as I am right now, like gung ho. So I feel like there's part of that in there. Like, what if they take them away again and I never get
yeah,
them again?
yeah. I hear you.
Anyway, it's almost over. Valentine's is almost over.
Are you happy or are you sad about that?
No, they need to get out of the store. They need
Okay.
to. They need to get out of the store. So, anyway,
I hear you. Um,
so maybe I'll try again, but I did track, but not I didn't pull out like the naturally occurring sugar. So, anyway, go
okay.
on.
Well, that's fair.
Mhm.
I like your honesty, I will say. So I wanted to, before we get into our topic, tell you about, say that 5 times fast.
I
Tell
know.
you about something that I love, am loving, and which is a podcast, and it's called The Hidden Brain. And it is, let me just read the description. Um, I had it pulled up and then, of course, it went away. It's this guy, his name is Shankar Vedantan, and they just use like he interviews different peoples to talk about different topics, and he uses story science and storytelling that's in his description to help you understand yourself and the world around you.
Mm.
And they're research based insights. And the one that I listened to recently was about making mistakes. And what I really liked about it was the way he was talking about, he interviewed a Harvard scientist who studies people making mistakes and errors. And the takeaway from that episode that stuck with me is that they were researching people in a workplace. And the people, she thought her hypothesis was that people who worked in teams would have less mistakes than people who worked individually. And she found the exact opposite, that people who were working in teams made more mistakes. And the reason why that came out to be is that they created an environment that was safe to report what was happening. So they were reporting it because they felt safer to say, hey, this got messed up. I did this. And they were not afraid of being reprimanded. So if you take away that into your real life, like if you make a mistake and you feel like you're not going to get yelled at or, criticized, you can say, hey, I messed up. I'm sorry. And then take that and learn from that versus just being scared to tell, oh gosh, I dinged the car
Mm.
or, whatever it is.
Mm.
It just
That
you're
resonated
scared.
with me. Go on.
So I like this podcast. I've listened to other ones where he's a good storyteller and his questions are really interesting and his topics are good. So I really like this podcast. Not every topic hits everybody, but I
Mhm.
like it. So
I love that you shared that. I've never heard of that podcast, so I'm excited to check that one out.
yeah, it's a little long, but
I was gonna ask, is it a lot like an hour?
yeah. Some of them are half an hour, some are 41 minutes, 44 minutes.
Okay. Not bad though.
Not bad.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that one. This
Of
is gonna be
course.
fun where we're sharing things that we're in love with that week. And they don't have to be weight related or wellness, right?
No, I think it's just how do we improve ourselves?
Okay.
And when we improve ourselves by either learning or listening or trying a new product or whatever it is, I think that makes us happier. And then that makes us healthier and that makes us lose weight. That's
Okay.
my theory.
I love it.
I don't know if you agree with
I
that. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think you're good. I think you're right. So it'll be exciting. Now next week I'll share something, right?
Yes, I'm really excited to hear what you share.
Now you can put the pressure on me. All right. All right. So are we jumping in right now to this week?
Yeah, let's do it. Oh, also as a disclaimer, we might end up saying the F word, so just prepare yourself. Don't be scandalized.
Hopefully we'll just say like F word and not
Yes.
the word.
Yeah. It might slip out though.
I mean, more like, let's be honest, it's going to slip out for me than it is you, but I'm just saying. All right. So let's back up here. Chuck it in the F it bucket. I
Right.
love the ring to it. I'm not going to
Yes.
lie. I love
Yes.
anything that rhymes. I love anything that's like cutesy
Mhm.
saying and words. I like it in general.
And you get a really clear visual when you think about that.
True. Very true. Actually, I actually did this once, an activity where we put a garbage can in the middle of the floor and we all wrote down things that we wanted to like chuck.
Oh,
And then we took it down and we rolled it in a ball and threw it in the bucket. We didn't say the
Really?
F word, but and it felt good.
What what kind of things did people throw
Um,
away?
Candy hearts. No, I'm just kidding. That was just mine. Um, like, feeling of inadequate or, feeling like a failure or,
Mhm.
5 pounds, they wanted to just throw that away, like, get rid of it.
Oh.
Like, some went that direction. It
Mhm.
was interesting how what direction people went in,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So
I can see that because when I started off thinking about this topic, I started off, I think, not necessarily in the wrong place, but in a different place than I think I should have been. So I
alright, so
start
where did you start?
I started off with like habits and patterns and like guilt and things you should that you want to get rid of that you have to like throw away. But I don't think that was quite.
So, I'm writing that down because you said habits and patterns.
Hmm.
So, would you, for example, be like, "I'm gonna throw away the habit of, eating candy on the couch every night." That chuck
Yes.
that habit. And a
Yes.
pattern would be almost the same thing, actually, sitting down on
Right.
the couch, always eating something,
Right.
or scrolling through my phone the first thing in the morning before I get out of bed, like, that's a
Yes.
pattern and a habit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I see that's true, though, those are things that we would like to chuck.
Yeah.
You don't think
So
so?
basically where it was is there's a feedback loop, which is we've talked about this before, but a cue is developed which triggers a craving, and that craving then motivates a response. So that provides your brain with a reward, which satisfies the desire and ultimately becomes associated with the cue. So it's the cue, action, reward, habit.
Right.
And if you're in that loop, it's really hard to get out of it. So I was like, if I want to get rid of a habit, I want to chuck it in the bucket. How do I do it?
Right. Where do we put the bucket?
Right.
Do we put
How
the
do I,
bucket
yeah.
before the cue, before the action, like, where does the bucket go? Do you
Well,
know
a
the answer to
bit,
that?
the thing that I read was that habits are stored in the brain in a different way than more standard memories. So typically, your emotion triggers a behavior that ends with the emotional urge that has been satisfied. And there's a twofold repercussion. And I don't want to get too deep into this, but if your habits are hard coded in your mind, it means they are impossible to remove. This means that once those habits have formed, they will stay with you for the rest of your life. For example, if you have addictions, but here's the big but, okay?
Okay. Don't say big butt, it makes me giggle. Go on.
You can't get rid of the old habit, but you can rewrite the code. So in creating new habits, they will replace the old habit. And the way to
Okay.
chuck it in the bucket is to not to say I have to stop eating these candy hearts is I'm the candy hearts are there, but maybe I'm going to eat fruit first or something else. And
Mhm.
then you have a new cue, new reward habit loop.
Mm. So in order to chuck it, you have to replace?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
And I think I mean, just to follow this through is we have a lot of pressure on ourselves. I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't worry about this. I shouldn't eat this.
Mhm.
There's a lot of that we drama we create for ourselves. But the
Mhm.
thing is, what are we doing instead? We've talked about this before is if you have a broken leg, you can't just start walking once your cast comes off. You need an in between.
Right. Right, right, right. And it's the same thing as like, if you want to stop doing something, you can't just stop. It's going to be hard and as
Right.
hell to stop.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Where did you start with this topic?
Well, I actually started with things. I've actually found this whole article on things that a healthy mindset person should chuck in the. I
Oh.
mean, there was actually a lot of articles on this and stories I was reading. It was a pretty cool thing to
Mm,
search. But I thought it was interesting, and there's like a good amount of things that are things that we should be saying, "F it. I'm not worrying about that."
really?
And the
Like
number
what?
one thing
Oh.
is what people think.
Oh, yes.
So if you think my hair it needs to be colored and it's too much gray in it, like Why do I let that bother, like, chuck that, like, who cares,
Why
right?
do we let that bother
I
us?
know. Clothing, why do we I don't care what you think, chuck it. Like, there's a lot of things that
Hmm.
clothing, maybe status,
Oh,
you know what I mean? Maybe, I'm just thinking. So that was one thing that I think we should chuck. Do
I like
you?
that.
All right,
Yeah,
this
I
one's
I like
kind of
that.
along the same lines, the need for others' approval.
You think that's in the same category as the one you just
I
read?
I think it's related.
Okay.
Do you?
I think it's I think it's kind of, they're yeah, they're related, they're siblings, in
Yeah,
that
right?
if you don't
Mhm,
care about what people think, then their approval or disapproval doesn't matter.
mhm, right. So that's another one that, and by the way, I think some of these are hard, but I also think they're important to think about and go, "I need to just chuck that thought." Like,
Mhm.
stop thinking about that, you know what I mean? And then before I read any more, this was interesting to me that it said, "A lot of things that we should chuck are things that we really thought at some time that we should care a lot about them, and then over time, we realize, why did I even care about that?"
Mm, yeah, but that
Like,
takes time.
maybe it is my hair. Maybe, like, there were times when I was, like, really thought people care about that. Like, I really cared what people thought about it, and now I'm like, "Why did I do think that? Who cares?" You know what I mean?
Right. That's a really hard one, and for a person like me, I tend to have, I don't wanna say obsessive thoughts, but I tend to become hyper focused on something, and
Mm,
I will really worry about, is Leah okay? Why is she not talking? Is she mad at me? Is she, like, I'll go down this terrible road, and probably you're just tired. And like,
mhm,
I've made a whole thing by focusing on something and worrying about what you think and worrying about how you are and my impact on that. And it's a whole scenario that I've created that I need to get rid of that. I need to get rid of
mhm.
that course of thinking because it's probably not even based in reality.
Right. But that's one of those things that's really hard for somebody to chuck,
Mhm.
I think. Don't you think, like, that's more of, like, that requires a lot more work.
Well, I've started asking people,
That's important.
"Are you mad at me? Are
Mhm.
you tired? Are you okay?"
That's important. That's an important step. Don't you
Because I
think
don't
that would
want
help you?
yes, my assumptions are
Mhm,
generally wrong, so I want to
mhm.
make sure it's okay.
Right. Here's another one, my excuses. Things to
Mm.
chuck, excuses.
Yes, yes.
Throw them out, don't need them. Don't want them.
But how do you do
Jealousy.
that?
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
jealous. Yeah, both of them are good.
I know.
How do you get rid of jealousy?
I don't know. I
I guess
don't know.
maybe if you think about it, the more secure you are with yourself and where you are, then the jealous feelings will sort of go away because jealousy would be more of what am I missing from my life? What have I, what, I'm not skinny like this person, or I'm not, that's not a good one, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not as
That's a good
athletic as
one.
this one, or I'm not
Right.
a, I don't
No,
get up early, or.
I think you're right. Like, that one's a really hard one to chuck as well.
Mhm.
But it's one that should be on your list of things to look at and go, all right, that is something that is. So here, let me just say real quick, all of these things that are things to chuck, I kind of envision them filling up my mind and they shouldn't be there. Like, I
Okay.
see all of these little words like floating in my head, jealousy and these things, and it's like I have so much other stuff in my brain that I don't have room for these things. So let me chuck them out. And
Mhm.
I liked seeing this list because it was a list of things that's like, okay, well, can I throw that one out? Can I throw that one out? For example, the next one is controlling dumb shit.
Ah.
Like,
Oh my gosh, that's
I
such a good
load the
one.
dishwasher a very specific way. Yet I ask
Yeah.
for help to do the dishwasher.
Yeah.
So every time I open it and I have asked somebody to load it, I have to throw that in the F it bucket. Like,
Mhm.
don't even worry about it. Somebody, it's okay. Like,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
So that's one of those things I like as I was reading this article, I was like, yeah, that's something that shouldn't be in my brain. Like, Chuck it. Chuck it. It
Right.
is not important that it is not loaded the exact same way that I like it. Like, that's some of that dumb shit that we need to just chuck,
I totally agree. I
right?
totally agree. Yeah. Because you're trying to control the microscopic things, but is that hurting you in the long run?
Right. Can I give you one that my husband needs to chuck?
Okay.
I just thought of this. He gets in my I never have gas in my car, and that's just how I live. I live dangerously. I live on E. It's what I do. It's just who I am. And
Okay.
he can't stand it. He hates it. He needs to chuck it. It's not his car. He's hardly ever in my car. Like, if you take it to the store, just know that there's not going to be gas in it. Like,
Yeah.
he needs to chuck it. Instead, he lets it get to him and he lets it bother him. And then he's always like, "Has your car
Okay.
ever seen a full? Has it ever seen it?" I'm like, "Yes, it has." Like,
But let's
right?
let's go through with this example because I think it's a really good one for this topic. Okay. You're annoyed with his comments and you want him to keep his comments to himself or chuck it in the
Mhm,
bucket.
mhm.
But would it not be also a possible interpretation that he's worried about you?
I mean, n okay. He's worried that I will be bothering him if I should get stranded somewhere on the side of the road.
Okay. That's fair. So you're saying, just to really understand
By the
this,
way, I would call you because that I don't wanna hear, "I told you!" So you'll
you
be
can
the
call
person
me.
I'm calling.
That's
Okay.
fine. Anytime. Yeah, that's a good I think you caring is the more important piece of this, what he says,
What do you mean?
right? If you said that just people's approval or disapproval,
Mhm.
this kind of goes along with that, that
That's
he's gonna
true.
be mad at you. You've been married to him for many years now. That's his problem if he's gonna get
Right,
mad about it.
right, right, and I chuck it every time I look at it, and I know I need gas. I'm like, F it, I'll get to it." I do it. I can do that with that.
Yeah,
So, I don't know.
because
But
you know how
anyway,
many miles you can drive, yeah.
I do, and I do panic, but whatever. It's alright. So controlling dumb stuff is a really important one.
Yeah,
Um, Making someone perfect.
making someone perfect. I don't really understand this one.
Like, let's just say, like, and this actually isn't me, but this is what I can come up with. Like, if you want your child or kid to act a certain way,
Mhm.
and that's not who they are. That's not how they were born. They're not going to be that certain way.
Okay,
Chuck that expectation.
okay,
You know what I mean? Like, for
yeah,
example, my daughter never ever played with Barbies. And for the first year of her life, it really did. I was like, "Oh, my daughter doesn't play with Barbies." Like, and I had to chuck that like, chuck it. That's
yeah,
not her. That's not who
yeah,
she is. You
right,
know what I mean?
yeah.
And I think, actually, I think a lot of us need to realize that in general. Like, we're trying to have somebody be something they're not, and why?
That's a very good point.
You
Very
know?
good point, yeah.
Um, I know I'm talking too long. Real quick, I'll go through them fast.
Oh, it's okay.
Grudges, chuck
Yes,
grudges.
yes,
That's like a no-brainer, but it's worth saying. Unrealistic expectations, insecurities, self-criticism, and fear,
yeah. I would agree with all of those.
right?
The way I have come to realize this topic is it's two avenues. One
Okay.
is all the things you just said, like beliefs that you have, or habits that you have, or things you always do the way you always do them. And they're not serving you anymore. They're not
Mhm.
productive to you. They're not enriching your life. They're actually hurting you. So you have to chuck those things and those ideas. And that could apply to weight loss too. You know, when I ate grapefruit before I lost weight, maybe that's not really working anymore. Maybe there were other factors.
Mm.
You know, it's I think we need to chuck some of those things and the beliefs and the habits. Like if you
I chuck some of those old ways of thinking.
yes, yes. Yes,
Mm,
that's the first category for me that we have to sometimes start from scratch with the way we think about something. And
okay.
just because 20 years ago, 15 years ago, you lost weight a certain way does not mean that that's going to be accurate today because you're
Mhm.
a different person,
Mhm.
different life, different habits.
Different medications.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a
The
good one to actually bring up is like, if anybody is guilty of saying, "Oh, it was used to be so easy," chuck that thinking.
yes.
Chuck
Yes.
it. Chuck it right now,
Mhm.
you know?
Yes. Totally agree.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
second thing, which I think it's kind of interesting when I started reading about this, is if you are going along and you have a plan, and the best example that I really thought of was COVID. Like we're all doing our
Living.
lives,
Mhm.
everything was going well, people are losing weight, people are exercising, drinking their water, doing the things, and then COVID hit and we came to a screeching halt. And we didn't even know what was going to be happening next.
Mhm.
And it can happen anyway. Like you have a presentation at work, but your Wi-Fi goes out, or you lost your file, or it could be anything. You want to take your
Mhm.
kid somewhere, but you don't have gas in your car. And so you have to like adjust for that. And that throws your plan off. So you have to chuck the plan that you had in the bucket.
Chuck in your plan.
Right. And that is a hard one because you feel like your time is wasted. You feel like your efforts were wasted. You don't know how you're gonna get back the momentum.
Mhm.
That's a hard
That
one.
one is one that you really need to work through.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, like, deep. That's, like, my plan went awry, it's not gonna work this way, now what?
Well, I was reading this, as a comparison. Newton's first law of physics says an object will stay in motion unless impeded by an external force. So if you're going along and then you have a metaphorical accident, you're gonna be deviated from your path.
Mhm.
So that's physics. This is all physics that we're talking about, right? So the key is, yes, you can take a minute and be upset or sad or frustrated or angry or whatever that emotion comes out of that. But then we need to chuck that whole thing, that plan, and then formulate a new plan. Okay, COVID happened. I'm working from home now. I'm sitting a lot more than I used to. I'm
Mhm.
snacking all day. What can be the new plan?
Mm. Yeah, we have to sit down and think about it, deep think about it.
Yeah. And we have to let
So
go of those old ways of thinking and come
mhm,
up with a new strategy.
yeah, or it's the same thing, like, my plan was to exercise every day and then you hurt your foot, like, "Alright, what's your new plan?"
Yes. Yes.
Mhm,
I agree because, we have injuries and we have things happen to us and age and pain but how are you going to accommodate for that?
right,
You need a new way. You can't do the old way.
mhm. So, I have one question, though. How do we know if we say it and chuck things too much?
What does that mean?
Like, "Alright, I'm not gonna have sugar," and then I go to a birthday party and I'm like, "Ah, F it. F it." Like, I'm just gonna eat the cake anyway."
Mhm.
Like, how do we know where how do we know if we're just tossing too much of the effort in the bucket?
That's a good question. I think it's a lack of commitment at that point to the original
Oh,
thought plan. Like you're not passionate about it. You're not committed to it really. So it's not really a plan.
okay, so if you find yourself throwing too many things in the bucket, like, maybe you weren't committed to something?
Yeah, I think you're just finding a reason to not do it. And you're like, "Oh, it's okay. I'm really stressed today. I'm just going to eat this whole cake.
Oh,
Tomorrow
actually,
I'll
that
be on
goes
it."
back to the excuses,
Right.
which are things we
Yes.
should be chucking.
Yes.
So if we chuck the excuses, then we don't have to worry about doing it too much,
Right.
right? I
That's a
mean,
hard one though.
theoretically, if you chuck the excuses, you don't have to sit down and really worry about doing them too much.
That's a really hard one.
Mhm.
You have
Mm,
to really
pennies.
be determined with why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had a few things like tips of using the F bucket to live your best life.
Okay. What do
This
you
was
got?
from panger.com. I think that's what Pangea.com. Whether it's regret, excuses, stress, or anything else, write it down on a scrap paper, just like you were saying.
Okay.
And then crumple up the piece of paper and shout the F word at the top of your lungs and toss the paper in the bucket.
Oh, so
That's
I had done that in the past. So that's a real thing.
that's a real thing.
Okay. I think
Okay.
it's like a good metaphor and it's like a good visual.
Mhm.
Anyway, go on.
So there's a few things that you can do when this happens is accept the emotion that is active in our system. So like I was saying, if you're upset or you're mad or you're sad or whatever it is because your plan got deviated or you
Mhm.
made an excuse and you didn't do what you just accept it. I'm mad right now. Set it. I really like this one. Set a timer for 10 minutes and go to a place of no hope. Get immersed in it. And when the timer goes off, reward yourself. Being miserable is hard work, so give yourself some credit for doing it so well.
Tell me why you're smirking because I don't understand this one.
So I think it's just acknowledging the emotion that you're having. And if you're like worst case scenarioing it, so um if let's just say I ate the whole cake, okay? And that hasn't been happened recently, but let's just say I ate the whole cake. And I'm like, man, I'm never gonna get to. I'll set a timer for 10 minutes and then I'll just go worst case. Like I'm never going to lose this weight and I'm never going to get healthy. And I don't know
Mhm.
why I can't do this. I'm a failure. This is ridiculous. And just really go to a place of like the dark place.
Wow, this is not anything I've ever heard of or expected. What
Really?
do you think the benefit of this would be?
Because when you are really thinking about it, you're like, that's not true. That's really just not true. I am going to be healthy and tomorrow's a new day. And maybe there was a reason I ate the cake and I don't have to live in this place. It's exhausting to always be like, I'm the worst, I'm a failure.
Because do you think 10 minutes will feel like forever and we're like, "Oh my god, all right, forget it. I don't wanna even be in this place for that long."
Yeah. I used to do this with my kids. I think that's why
Really?
I'm like, okay, you get today to just wallow around and be really sad.
Mhm.
And then tomorrow we're back at it.
I think yeah, I guess I could see that now. Because at first I was like, "Wow, I don't know how I would pull myself out of it." But I think if you're really trying to stay in that place, you'll find that it's hard.
Hmm.
Hmm, that's
And
a
then I
very
think
interesting.
you'll feel a little ridiculous.
I might have to
The
try this one.
the next one was remind yourself of some basic facts about what you're hopeful for. So if you know that Valentine's Day is going to be here and the candy is going to be gone, you're having it temporarily, it's going to be
Mhm.
gone, and you're going to be like back to routine. And it's fine. You can be hopeful for that.
Hmm, finding the hope almost.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that one.
I think you mentioned this in the other thing when you're talking about the list is don't compare yourself to others.
Yeah.
And social media and TV and all of that makes it a little hard, but
Mhm.
that's a thing. Go for a brisk walk or run and don't call it exercise.
Wonder why we don't call it exercise.
So you know how I don't know if I have
You
said this recent my angry walks or my
Yes,
rage walks.
rage walks, that's what you call
Yes.
them. Yes, I
Yeah.
had the same thought right as you were about to say it. Yeah.
So you're just getting all those emotions out. You're like, I need a new plan and let your brain process all the garbage and just get out of it.
Rage walks.
Oh, it could be a sad walk or
Yeah.
it could be a
But
whatever walk.
but I also think that the key to that is, like, getting your heart rate up.
Hmm.
to
Yes.
help get it up and then come down and then you feel better. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
I totally agree.
Mhm.
Go to the woods.
They say
Being
there's
out
so much benefit.
Yes, being out in nature is definitely, a good thing. I There was one thing I read, I'm just trying to find it. There's something about hot cold therapy. So if you submerge your face in a bowl of cold water, which can slow down your heart rate.
Wait, do you remember we had somebody on our call to action group that that was what she did? That was her
Yeah.
call to action like 2 weeks in a row, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said I was gonna do it and I never did.
I never did either. It's intimidating to me. I think that's why all those cold plunge things are very popular now. There's a lot of health benefits, but
They're so intriguing to me. And I hate
Mhm.
being cold. I'm so intrigued by them.
Yeah. People don't look cold. They're like just sitting in there
They're
relaxing.
liars. They're liars. They're liars. They're liars. But I really am intrigued by it.
Yeah, you can also do this. You can hold an ice cube. And if you're focusing on the ice cube, you're like, man, this is really cold. This is really cold. It's trying to melt now. It's dripping. And then you kind of forget about the thing
How long do you hold the ice cube for?
however long you want. In my hands, it'd probably be a minute. In your hands, because you're already cold, it'd probably be longer.
That's very interesting. I might have to try that one.
Or take a warm shower. Either any of these things where it alters your temperature, changes your heart rate, just distracts you. I think it can help when you're in a spiral of negative thought and you just want to get rid of it. You just want to
Mhm.
be distracted from it.
It can help you get rid of it.
Definitely.
Which is like literally what we're talking about is like what do you need to throw in the bucket, right?
Mhm.
What do you need? And it's going to be different for everybody. I think everybody's going to be have many different things that they need to throw away, but it's important.
If what do you think if something just popped out to you right now? What do you think you would need to chuck in the bucket?
Oh, put me on the spot like that.
That's what I
I
do.
I know. I
I could tell
don't
you mine while you're thinking
what
about it.
yeah, go ahead. What would be yours?
So I have a problem when I'm alone. I tend to eat, um, and it's an old habit. But every now and then, when I'm emotional or I'm overwhelmed, it comes back. So then I eat when I'm alone, and I'd like to chuck that in the bucket.
You eat when you're alone.
Mhm.
A lot?
A lot, but not a lot.
Do you
Like,
catch yourself doing it?
yeah, sometimes.
Hmm.
And then I'm disappointed that, look, I had stopped this before. Why can't I do that now?
And you don't eat in front of people often, correct?
I I I don't.
I wonder if there's like a connection with that.
Well, I think I look okay, don't laugh at me. I think I look weird while I'm eating, so probably I'm like, I don't want to look
Now,
weird
of
while
course, I'm gonna watch you next time you eat because I've never paid attention.
I don't know.
What?
It's
Can you
mm,
next week eat while we're recording so that I can see what it looks like and
I
everybody
don't
else
think
can?
that would sound very good. But
Mute. You just mute and you just eat.
the bigger thing out of this is I need to chuck the whole hyper awareness of my actions and what I'm thinking, what I'm doing, and that hyper fixation and just be in the moment, either be in the emotion like we talked about, or do something different. Get up
Mm,
and move and do something different.
yeah, I like it.
If
Just
you don't
do
want to
something
say
different.
yours, that's fine.
I honestly don't. I'm looking at this. Like, I think maybe some of my um I don't know. I really truly don't know what I need to chuck. And I'm sure, I mean, besides the candy hearts and those type of things, like I need to chuck the excuses on my activity.
Yeah.
I need to chuck some of the anger I feel when nobody will tell me what they want for dinner.
Yeah. I hear that one. That one's a
Ugh,
big one in my house. Can you
yeah,
give me some options? No, because if I had options, I wouldn't ask you.
right. So I need to chuck those like unrealistic expectations that somebody's just going to come up with it, and then
Mhm.
chuck the anger that I feel when nobody has them. So there's a whole lot of that.
Can I read the story to you that I saw that I think it's a good example of deviating from like either a pattern or a thought process.
Okay.
It's short. The story is it goes something like this. A farmer lost his horse. All his neighbors said, "How awful." But the farmer simply replied, "Could be bad, could be good, don't know yet." Then the horse returned with a stallion. Now the neighbors said, "How wonderful for you." But the farmer replied, "Could be bad, could be good, don't know yet." A few days later, the farmer's son was riding the stallion. He fell off and broke his leg. Once again, the neighbors chimed in. "That's terrible news." The farmer just told them, "Could be good, could be bad, don't know yet." That weekend, the country went to war, and the generals went from village to village, taking young men to fight in the war. They didn't take the farmer's son since his leg was broken. The neighbors all expressed how lucky the farmer was that his son had broken his leg, since now he didn't have to go to war and risk being killed. But the farmer simply said, "Could be bad, could be good, don't know yet." So the truth is, you can't see the future. You don't know what it could be. And maybe if you have a deviation from your plan or your path got interrupted, maybe there's a reason, maybe there's a purpose, and it could be a blessing in disguise. You just don't know yet.
What a great story. That's really like what is it? What did he say? Could be bad.
Could be
Could be
bad, could be good, don't know yet.
okay. I like that. I
I
do.
liked it too, because he was like, well, we'll see what happens, basically. And
Right.
things come into our path that knock us off kilter, and we're like, oh boy, that was terrible. But maybe there's a reason for it. And maybe there was a greater purpose that we just don't understand yet. But we have
Mhm.
to keep persevering and pursuing whatever we're doing with equal amounts of gusto and passion. And that's a hard
Good
one.
point. Very hard. So what is your gusto and passion for your call to action this week?
Okay. I was thinking about this. I forgot when we started, but I remembered as we were talking. I've been having some pains in my leg, and I don't know exactly what's happening. I don't know if I'm not eating enough bananas or what it is. But I have decided that I'm going to start stretching every night for 5 minutes before I go to bed.
It feels so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I just
Okay.
want to be like in my bedroom where it's quiet and put that some like meditative thing on and just stretch.
Yes. Okay, good. How are you going to remember to do it?
Um, when I pull my covers back, I'm going to say, okay, I have to stretch,
Okay.
and then just get on the floor and just do it.
That's a good idea. Great cue there. Really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about you? Do you have one?
Yeah, so after we talked to Brad, right? His name was Brad.
Yes. Yes.
He really I don't know what he really stuck in my head about mastering one thing before you
Hmm.
try to put in a bunch more. So I'm really trying to master working out on Wednesdays. 15 minutes of cardio. It could be
Oh,
5
wow.
minutes or 10 minutes or all 15 minutes at once, but a total on Wednesday. So 2 Wednesdays in a row so far. I'm going for 3 this week, and then hopefully I want to get like a good solid month of mastering my Wednesdays, which means no matter what, like I just do my Wednesdays.
I love it.
Yep. And I'm putting a little check mark on my calendar when I do it.
It takes the pressure off for sure.
Yeah, I hope so. And I hope it works. So we'll see.
I think it will.
All right. Have a great week.
You too.